If you're just tuning in, good morning, Sunrisers. You're watching CVM TV. And of course, you know, this is the only way to wake up in the morning. Wherever you are, we are there with you on your phone, on your television screen. And of course, you can log on to our website at www.cvmtv.com. Now, there is a Buddhist proverb that says, you will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger. Joining us this morning to unpack this concept as it relates to our Jamaican juveniles is none other than renowned psychologist, Dr. Leahcim Semaj. Good morning, sir.
Doc,
welcome. How you doing?
Alive and well.
Lovely, and thank you so much for being here this morning, because Doc, there is just so much going on in the news just on a daily basis. Have our juveniles gone mad? What's going on?
They didn't raise themselves. So we have to make sure we don't just start there.
Very well.
You know, I have a basic premise, you know, that home is the first school, parents are the first teachers, everything after that is called extra lesson.
Yes.
So we start there. I also started the premise that most Jamaicans believe in corporal punishment. The practice of corporal punishment is a very strange thing, because it teaches four things. If somebody upset you, you can hit them. If you're bigger than them, you can hit them. If they disappoint you, you can hit them. The result is that children are raised with this. But in a modern state, Max Weber says the state has a monopoly on violence. Jamaicans don't even understand anything close to that. I can't just box down Miss Kitty. If she do me something, that's why we have courts and we have the rule of law and all of that. But without teaching these things. Now, anger is a legitimate emotion, but violence is a behavior. The two don't have to go together. So anger management is one of the most important things not being taught.
Yes.
At home, in school, how do you manage anger? How do you transmute it? How do you deflect it?
But Doc, I think an important question for us to contemplate as Jamaicans is, why are we so angry? Why are Jamaicans so angry? And by extension, why do we have such a propensity for violence?
No, conceived in sin and shaped in iniquity. The society, from enslavement, colonization, remember, you know, after slavery, the two first things were established was the madhouse and the bad house. General Penitentiary and Bellevue. So that we are accustomed to being violent, and we treat everything, even with love song, kill her with it. So it's a kind of process. We say it's more than words, because you can have violent words. But I'm saying that anger is a legitimate emotion. Yes. I feel so angry, see, man, watch me and them. So, for example, I was very angry when I was in high school. I got 26 out of 100 a month before O-level physics. I was advised not to bother take it. I was so angry, I went home and studied and read the book. And when I got my distinction, and I went to talk to the teacher, the paper accidentally dropped out of my hand and lick him. But you know, so you contain the anger, you transmute, but anger is legitimate, it energizes. But
Doc, let me just ask you, because some parents will say, but back in the day, Doc, our parents used to give it 2 lick, or you know, keep us in line, and it worked. We were orderly. I mean, you know, we gave trouble, but little pick-me trouble. We were not out of line.
But here's how that goes. It goes one of 2 directions. There are many Jamaicans who say exactly what you just said. Man, you should get Tom lick and look what it don't do me nothing. But then there are the others who, as a result of that, my mother was a terrorist. All right?
Wow.
I can say that. My mother, I remember being injured at school, and I was worried that when my mother comes, she will realize that I carry my good watch go school. Not the who are full of blood, you know. But you know what I pledge? I will never ever hit my children. Because I remember the trauma and what I went through. So that some of us come out of it.
So you didn't grow bad and terrible. You didn't hit your children. How did that work out?
Well, we have 1 Supreme Court judge, and we have 1 university professor, and we have 2 entrepreneurs, and we have a master teacher. Oh, and we just had a law school graduate.
Attorney at law in waiting.
So,
oh, wow.
So they didn't turn out that.
I never hit them one time.
Wow.
I remember when my daughter said, Dad, I wish you just hit us and get it over with. I structure the process, man.
Yes.
I structure the process. I remember my eldest son, when he was given problems at school and so on, we just announced, oh, you realize you're no longer on the basketball team, you know. Oh, no, but no, I'm on it. We give a game. No. Behavior have consequences.
Yes.
You're no longer on the basketball team. Because basketball was his life.
Yes.
But I'm saying this thing about we rationalize it, we excuse violence, and it is being perpetuated. We have to really take a stand on it.
How do we treat with this epidemic or this epidemic of violence? Because we often say that we need to take an epidemiological approach to violence in society. What does that look like?
Well, it is now pandemic.
Yes.
It's been normalized.
Yes.
We expect it to happen. All right? We have to just pull a halt, battery pull, and just say, listen, folks, let's just start with the concept of Max Weber, that a state is a context of people where the state has a monopoly on violence. No member of the society has a right to physically or verbally assault on them. The state does that. So you take it to the court, you take it, whatever it is. Look at so many levels. The simplest thing between two family, two neighbors, violence. Violence. So we have to almost teach people. We need a media campaign.
Yes.
We need a school campaign at every level that violence is not the answer. We rationalize it, we justify it, and we practice it. I'm saying that corporal punishment is what establishes it in children, that the person disappoints you, lick them.
Beat them.
And
but what about those parents, Doc? Earlier, Dennis and I, during tea time, we're talking about parents who will tell you, but Doc, I've done everything I can do. I try with him, I try with her. I teach her the right thing, I teach him the right thing, and him go to school, and him just do the thing, Doc. I don't know what else to do.
Many years ago, about 15 years ago, I went to the Ministry of Education with a plan that every school have at least 12 to 15 boys then who were in the departure lounge. We need to have a program now that will start to re-socialize them. I was told that there's no budget for that. I said, well, no budget. What we have done is defer it from the Ministry of Education to
society.
No, Ministry of National Security and Justice, plus GCT. Now, those boys 15 years ago are now graduated. So school is the last chance we have, you know. Remember we used to have values endorsing activities in school.
The
values and attitudes program.
No, I'm talking way before that, you know. The school. When I was a cub.
Oh, yes,
I was a
Girl Guide.
Yeah, Girl Guide.
Yes.
All of those things are
Brownie.
values, enhancing.
Red Cross.
All of those things.
Yes.
You see, once we went to double shift, we no longer did hardly any time or space in the curriculum now for those kind of activities. So school is really about socialization, which is mean making human. It's not just the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Yes.
It's about becoming human.
So, Doc, how do we reform the home, which is the primary source of socialization? And as you said, you know, where do you get the first lesson? Where do we start? Because are we too far gone? Where do we start the reformation?
There's always hope. The fact that we're talking about it, but guess what? Jamaica is famous for 9-day wonders. Now it's probably even 2-day wonder. But you see, another one happened yesterday with some girls.
Yes.
So we can't just drop off the one from last week. We have to,
and it's not just boys, it's girls.
It's girls now. So we say, hold on, I know this is not just one. The whole society has to be battery pull.
Yeah.
But guess what? If you start from the very top, I don't think the leadership will want to come down and say, boy, you fight against poor people. You fight against... No, it has to be it has to be said, it has to be done, and we have to start by holding parents accountable.
But a lot of that requires a unity amongst leadership, so that there's no when you take a position, whether it's government and opposition or whether it's parents, that it's not so that any direction you turn, this is one direction that we're moving as a country, and there's a fixity of purpose in that regard.
Absolutely, but you see, it is not fashionable, and so many things that, if you use the words of Chronics, people are doing things for likes.
Yes.
It's not for love. That's for likes and for... So that it has to happen. We need all hands on deck. We need the artists to support it. And you see, once one politician says it, the other side will oppose it. So it's a
problem.
rare. So one of the best come from the civil society, but it has to happen. But it has to get media support.
Yes. For parents, Doc, who need the support, where do they turn?
Oh, if you notice that schools have PTA, Parent Teachers Association.
And there's parent support.
So yes, so we could build parent support entity, because there are parents, especially some single parents, who are at their wits' end because they're raising a child that they cannot manage and so on. That's why our concept, there are children in need of care and protection. At the same time, when I was articulating this thing for the boys, I also said we have to build some institutions for those children. They can't be in the normal school system. They need a timeout. 2 years ago, I had the privilege of speaking to some boys at the Hilltop Juvenile. You know what that is?
Yes.
And there's a line I've always wanted to use with some boy. I said, gentlemen, now that I have your attention, because we're not going anywhere for a couple of years, let's talk.
Yeah.
So we had time now to talk. So we need institutions whereby sometimes it can be short term. I have arranged with the parents with a child who is away, where I informally contacted one of our top children's home. And I asked him, would you take this child for about 3 months? Would you take this child? In a structure, take the child out of the community, out of the support system, and try to re-socialize that child. So that has been done. That can be done. But we need this on a larger scale, because we're moving. Look, if boys are not properly socialized, they become destructive. If girls are not properly socialized, we used to say they become reproductive. They use sex to, but now they're also becoming destructive.
Yes.
So it's a process. It's that energy, that youth energy. It can build, but it can also destroy.
Boy, Doc, we have to definitely invite you back, but thank you for all the work that you do. We have work to do. I'm committed to being a part of the solution, because I do believe if you're not a part of the solution, you're a part of the problem, right? So thank you for all that you do, and thank you so much for continuing the work and for educating and for helping, because we definitely need it.
I have no choice.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.